God's promises have not been overlooked or forgotten when the New Testament begins. So let's take a look at that. There's an expectation of return and of a coming Messiah. An expectation of a return to the land and a Messiah. So despite the exiles, the Old Testament ends with an expectation of full return, Judah and Israel, the whole house of Israel. This hope is connected to the three covenants I just mentioned. The return relates to the covenant with Abraham because the land was promised as an everlasting possession. It's linked to the Mosaic covenant because the law predicts that God will restore Israel to their land if they ever find themselves in exile. And then the expectation of return is also tied to the Davidic covenant, which involves expecting a Messiah who will save and rule over Israel. So this idea is explicitly connected to a prophecy about the root of Jesse, King David's father. Here it is, Isaiah 11, 10 through 12. It says, in that day, the root of Jesse, who shall stand as a signal for the peoples, of him shall the nations inquire, and his resting place shall be glorious. In that day, the Lord will extend his hand yet a second time to recover the remnant that remains of his people from Assyria, from Egypt, from Pathros, from Cush, from Elam, from Shinar, from Hamath, and from the coastlands of the sea. Listen to what he'll do. He will raise a signal for the nations and will assemble the banished of Israel and gather the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So you can see that Isaiah predicts that Israel and Judah will be gathered and assembled as God sends a signal to the nations where they were dispersed during the exiles. Ezekiel agrees, prophesying that Israel will be united and no longer will they be two separate people or two separate nations. Ezekiel 36, 23 through 25. It says, but I will save them from their backslidings in which they have sinned and will cleanse them, and they shall be my people, and I will be their God. My servants David shall be king over them, and they shall all have one shepherd. They shall walk in my rules and be careful to obey my statutes. They shall dwell in the land that I gave to my servant Jacob, where your fathers lived. They and their children's children shall dwell there forever. And David, my servant, shall be their prince forever.